guys, welcome to Murder Makeup with Grace and Nikki.
Today we'll be covering the case of John Wayne Gacy, the killer clown.
In today's episode we are going to be recreating a makeup look inspired by John Wayne Gacy's Killer Clown.
And in today's video there will be many sensitive topics like murder and sexual assault, so if you are sensitive to those topics, feel free to click off the video or pause it and come back when you're ready.
Anyways, let's get cracking on with the makeup. Right guys, today we're going to be talking about John Wayne Gacy, the Killer Clown, whilst doing a Killer Clown inspired makeup look. This true crime case is about one of the most notorious killers in America, John Wayne Gacy. Forensic methods helped identify 22 out of his 33 victims. These methods also helped determine how they were killed. In 1978, a 15-year-old named Robert Peast disappeared after work one day. His mother had been waiting for him outside when he told her that he was going to go visit this man about a part-time job. This man was called John Wayne Gacy. His mother waited 3 hours and then she finally called the police.
After the police were called, Robert's mother told the police that Robert was meant to meet a man about the job, and then the man was John Wayne Gacy. This led to the police going to Gacy's house in order to question him, and during the questioning he denied ever seeing Robert. He said that he was unable to speak to the police because he had funeral matters to attend to, and there was a recent death in the family. The police then asked Gacy to follow them to the station that day.
When Gacy was questioned at the station, they again asked if he knew anything about Robert. He then still denied ever seeing Robert or ever hearing of his name. When the police did a background check on John Wayne Gacy, they found out that he had already had a waiting trial for sexual assault and had more than one record of previous sexual assault on a minor. Because of this, the police obtained a search warrant to search his house.
When the police initially searched Gacy's house, they discovered a strong smell under the crawl space of his house, and they just assume that it's the sewage because the crawl space looks untouched. So they just leave it be, but they do find suspicious things in his house, including 2 graduation rings, driving licenses of like 2 unknown males, handcuffs, marijuana, police badges and several pieces of young boy's clothing. The police then searched his car and found strands of hair matching Robert's DNA.
After further intensive investigation, the police discovered that one of the graduation rings belonged to a teenager that had disappeared over a year prior. They also found 3 former employees of Gacy's had mysteriously disappeared in the past 5 years. Finally, all this evidence led to Gacy confessing that he killed someone. However, he claimed it as self-defence and told the police that the body was found underneath the garage. When the police went to go obtain the body, they found numerous remains under the crawl space.
After discovering the multitude of bodies under the crawl space, Gacy confessed to killing Robert and 30 other young men. I believe that Gacy chose wisely when choosing his profession because he knew who he was going to employ, and he knew that he was going to end up doing things obviously to those men, like sexually assaulting them and murdering them. And the search at Gacy's house was organised. It was like a archaeological site. The excavation had been carefully conducted to preserve the bodies, and many of these bodies were piled up on top of each other.
Before the discovery of Gacy's horrific crimes, he was a clown, hence the nickname Killer Clown. This makes me wonder if he chose to be a clown in order to choose his next victims and to plan out his crimes. I feel as though, being a performance clown, it will cover up the abnormality of his normal life and create a persona for him in order to pose as a normal person. Within the first day of the search, 2 bodies were found under the crawl space of Gacy's home.
As time went on, they went on to discover 26 more bodies that were found in the crawl space. Many of the bodies were buried so close together that it can determine that they'd been killed around the same time and buried around the same time. And Gacy told the police that on several occasions he'd killed more than one person at a time.
During the demolition of Gacy's property, a body of a young man had been preserved underneath his patio in concrete. So he literally placed the dead body down after he'd done whatever to it, and then bought loads of concrete and just shoved it on top.
Yes.
That's weird. I believe that he'd done this on purpose as the crawl space underneath his house was beginning to get full. Then another body had been discovered under the entertainment room of his house. By the end of December 1978, police had removed a total of 29 bodies from Gacy's home. And by the end of spring 1979, the police were able to connect a further 4 younger male victims found in the local river from Gacy.
Gacy confessed that he disposed of the bodies in the river because he didn't really have any more space under his house, and also because he started to have back problems due to the digging. So he basically just decided that he wanted to dump the bodies in a random place because his back was hurting a little bit. And many of Gacy's victims, Robert had been sexually assaulted and suffocated. He shoved paper towels in his throat, and Dr. Clyde Snow had been hired by the police to identify the victims. And these are the victims that had been removed from Gacy's property. Dr. Snow used missing persons reports and like
matched them to the dead bodies in a weird kind of way.
Yeah, he also used like dental records and everything like that. And for example, he identified one of the set of remains to be David Talsma. He used this by comparing a fracture that David had on his left arm to one that had been previously healed and found on the body of the deceased.
In the end, the investigation used anthropology techniques and dental records to identify all but 9 of Gacy's victims. He was convicted and found guilty of murdering 33 young men in 1980. Gacy was on death row for 14 years and repeatedly delayed his execution by filing appeal after appeal. How do you, appeal? Is that like, oh yeah, I can't die because like my daughter's coming to see me next week?
Yeah, it could be stuff like that, and it could be like he would ask for doctor's visits, or he would say that like there was stuff
happening that were important.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't understand, like, you've done what you've done, you need to pay the price.
Yeah, just...
Especially to, like, minors as well, that's, like,
well,
vile.
He didn't care that they were minors, he just cared that they were boys.
Once his appeal reasonings had been exhausted, Gacy was executed via lethal injection in 1994. The part I found strange was that he requested his last meal to be a bucket of KFC chicken and fried shrimps. Like, chicken and shrimp don't go together.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest combination. What's even weirder, his last words were "kiss my ass." You know what? It's just, I don't understand it.
Well, usually convicts on death row tend to ask for meals that are significant to their life, meaningful, maybe childhood, maybe their mother made it and stuff like that. But I feel like it's really weird of him to just ask for something like that. Just ask for something that doesn't really matter. And I feel like he didn't really have any significant, memories from his childhood. And if he did, he clearly didn't, care enough to
favour them.
Yeah, make them significant in like his last moments. So he just chose some random food, and obviously he clearly wanted his last words to be something memorable for everyone to remember by singing "Kiss My Ass."
I feel like the fact that he ordered KFC chicken, like as an American, is pretty standard. No offence to any Americans out there. Eat what you want to eat, but I wouldn't have that as my last meal.
Yeah.
Shrimp and fried chicken don't go together at all.
Yeah.
But it's almost as if like this, I might be going into this a little bit too deep, but it's almost as if KFC chicken is like his normal life and fried shrimp's like his disgusting whatever life, like murdering stuff, and he's like trying to blend them both together for like his last meal.
Yeah, it's giving Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah. Duality of man. But I find it mad that it took him so long to like get found out about everything.
Yeah.
Like he said that 3 young men from like who he offered jobs to disappeared after 5 years.
Yeah.
No one thought about anything. No one thought of him as a
killer.
A killer because of how normal his life seemed.
They just thought he was an entertainer.
Yeah.
Well, other things about the case is obviously just him keeping all of this stuff, and he'd hid it for so long that it was like
It was
like
normal.
other-
It was
yeah.
normal to him
Yeah.
for it all to happen.
And to just think about how he based his whole life off his job, and he clearly thought so much about it, becoming a children's entertainer so that he can take those children and do whatever to those children. He obviously thought more about his murder than he thought about his last moments or the consequences that could come after it.
Okay, so now that we've done the base makeup and covered the majority of the John Wayne Gacy case, we're going to move on to try recreate a killer clown makeup look. For me, I'm going to be doing some blue and red, like half clown makeup look, which is inspired by John Wayne Gacy's makeup himself.
And I will also be doing blue and red, but I will be doing more of like a,
Traditional.
yeah, more of like a romantic clown look.
So we're going to kind of dive in deeper whilst we're doing this into like the psychological side of why he's doing the killing, if he enjoys it, if he remembers any of it. So let's get into it.
So, in an interview that John Wayne Gacy has with the police in the Netflix show about him, he mentions, well, he says, the clowning was relaxation for me. I enjoyed entertaining kids. People unwind in different ways. They go out drinking and I put on clown makeup. I feel relaxed. So, he says that it wasn't a way to lure children in. It was a way of, making himself feel happy and relaxing himself. And he mentions that he would visit different hospitals in order to entertain these children.
I feel like that's a massive lie.
Yeah, me too.
Like, dude saying, oh, yeah, I don't do it to lure kids in, but then his main victims were kids.
Exactly.
Like, if you look at any of the records, every single one of his victims is like a teenage kid, probably that you would see if they had like a younger brother or sister. If he was like at the party, he would probably be thinking, it's you next, type of thing, like in the back of his head. He further mentions that he used to do parades, for example on the 4th of July, which is a very big like American holiday. And I feel like being in the big crowds helped him quite a lot to blend in and kind of like disguise himself, rather than being like, oh, hey guys, I'm gonna like kill you and stuff, I'm gonna murder a child. Like, that he blended in whilst doing it. And he also says that when I did clown makeup, I would regress into my childhood. It was fun for me. You could be yourself or you could act a fool. So it kind of says, like as we said earlier, that he puts a persona on when he's doing clown makeup. He did say he only does it once or twice a month, but that once or twice a month can like relieve him of whatever he's going through, and then kind of push him back into like not being his normal regular self and back into like the psychotic killer that he actually was.
He also did say that when he entertained the children, he wouldn't entertain them with handcuffs. When he went to the hospitals, he said that he would entertain them with balloon animals and small toys and stuff like that. And he said that he enjoyed the clowning, but that it had like a negative name. But he mentions that it took a bad name because of the way he used it. So
he's the main reason why nobody likes clowns.
Yeah, and obviously many other notorious killers that have, been known to wear clown makeup. And he mentions, like further in the show, that he looks at the victims and he studied the pictures of them and, the cases that had been made against him. And he doesn't remember any of them. He mentions that they, in quote, he said, they're just names to me. He didn't remember faces or anything at all.
But then also looking back, I saw this thing that said, like a psychological study that said he was drunk whilst he was killing people.
Yeah.
So, like, after he died, it got said that his brain got, like, removed and put in a Ziploc bag and, like, examined and stuff. So I feel like if he was drunk whilst doing it, someone would have obviously seen the fact that he had like some sort of issue with his brain when he'd been drinking too much, because obviously he killed a lot of people, 33 people. So I feel like with that whole thing, it kind of shows that he did it when he wasn't sober, and I know that's not an excuse at all, but I think that's the reason he might not remember any of his victims.
Yeah.
Purely because he wasn't sober when he was doing it.
And also, like, the biggest part of the case is that he's been taken to be a power killer, and what that means is he's described to have like a god complex, and other ones are like Ted Bundy or the BTK killer, which is Dennis Rader. But they're described to have a god complex, and the reason that they kill so slowly is because they have the ability to decide how and when and everything like that about how their victims die, and it gives them like a sense of power.
Like, it kind of gives them the fact of the victims can't do a single thing about it.
Yeah, they don't know what's going to happen or when or like how or anything like that, and the killer knowing that gives them some sort of, you know, like a feeling that
they can do whatever they want and there's going to be no consequences type of thing.
Yeah, like they are omnipotent, they are all powerful, they have the power in the situation. But yeah, most killers that also like sexually assault their victims have like been said not to do it for lust. They've also done it just for power.
Like, so like when they sexually assault the victims, it's not as if they're doing it because they want to
feel something romantic or anything like that.
Yeah, they don't want to lust or anything like that. It is genuinely to feel a sense of power. It's kind of like dominance type of thing that like they physically can't do anything about like what's happening to them, and it kind of gives them a sense of like, well, like you said, like omnipotence, all powerful and all that stuff.
That's hence the god complex.
Yeah.
And like one more thing that came like significance in the like the show about him was that the way that the police spoke to him and the way that they acted with him, they used flattering as a way of speaking to him, because a lot of killers,
psychopathic killers and stuff.
Yeah, psychopathic killers have a grandiose sense of self-worth, which just means that they see themselves as a lot like bigger and more worthy than a lot of other people. And so when they talk about killing, they talk about it in a proud way. And to be honest, in the show, he does seem quite proud of what he's done, and he acts as if it's like a regular conversation. A lot of the time, he doesn't seem, you know, scared by it,
or like it's as if he's
guilty,
as if he's numb to the like, the sensation of killing someone, which is absolutely insane.
And he also he describes his things as like successes and achievements when he speaks about killing them, the people. So he very clearly just sees what he does as such like a good thing, and he sees that like he will be able to do, you know, no evil or anything like that,
which is diabolical.
Yeah.
It's like, it's almost as if it was like his God-given right to do it.
Yeah.
Which is insane to have to say, because the stuff that like he put the victim's family through, like Robert, the guy who this whole thing sparked off of, it was his mum's birthday the day that John took him, which is insane. I know John might not have known, but it's just the fact that it's just a weird coincidence, the fact that it was his mum's birthday.
Yeah, but he's like a lot of other killers. Obviously, sometimes killers aspire from other killers. So, like, obviously it is just a show, but like Dexter, he actually has, you know, influenced a lot of children and teenagers and people mine and Grace's age to you know, want to be killers and want to be, you know,
It's like
this-
romanticised it.
Yeah. And he, John Wayne Gacy just mentions a lot that he didn't really do the stuff like for pleasure, but he saw what he did as like a good thing. But he didn't start it off for any specific reason. He just felt
The
like,
need to do it.
yeah.
I feel like a lot of killers have got like motives. Like the Menendez brothers, they said that they were sexually assaulted as children and throughout their whole lives, which is why they killed the parents.
Yeah.
But like, by the looks of things, he just does it because it's like a why not, which is insane.
It just makes him feel as if
Empowered,
yeah.
as if like nobody can do anything to him.
Yeah, and obviously, like, as hard as it is or anything like that, he had to hide all of that, and I feel like probably hiding that also felt like a sense of power to him, because no one actually knew what he was or who he was or anything like that. And so when he did stuff like this, he felt a sense of, like, you know, urgency or just stuff like that that made him, you know, want to do it more, because he was the only person that knew. And
Like the sense of secrecy makes him feel like higher than other people because he feels like he can do it without anyone knowing. It's kind of like the sense of what's the word? Not empowerment, but like feels like he's better than other people.
yeah,
Gives him like a bit of an ego boost knowing that like he's doing this and no one else knows, and it's like it kind of gives him a bit of like an ego boost, which is really weird to say.
yeah. But obviously, like, another killer that does it somewhat for an ego boost was Ted Bundy, and I don't know much about the case, but obviously Ted Bundy is, you know, one of the most, like, fully most popular killers, and I feel like, obviously, it in a weird way inspires people to do that stuff, but also the people that don't have, you know, that sense, they don't feel obviously inspired, they just feel horrified. But he made a name for himself. He wasn't anyone before that. He was just a killer clown. Yeah. And, you know, it's just like they just make names for themselves.
I feel like some people do it because they want to be known.
Yeah.
Like, if John Wayne Gacy came from like a small town and he just wanted people to know who he was and he was inspired to be like that,
Yeah.
I feel like some killers kind of just do it for the fame and for the popularity. No, not so popularity, they're like the sense of people knowing who they are and like making a name for themselves. It's kind of like what people do in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like they create scandals for themselves to
Yeah.
like show people who they actually are and get into like the news and stuff.
Yeah, and even though obviously he didn't want anyone to know, he then, as I've said, he seems like proud of his work.
When he's in interviews, he acts as if it's a normal thing for everyone to do, as if like
Yeah.
everyone's done it, or it's like if he's mentioning or going to the pub or something, like everyone does it every now and again.
Yeah.
It's like it's not.
Yeah, so he didn't intend to make a name for himself, and obviously didn't intend for anyone to know, but now that people did and do know, he just wasn't, you know, bothered by it, and he just, you know, felt like he would probably do it again. And I think he mentions as well somewhere that he doesn't regret what he did, well, because he obviously did it, and the things that he did, saying, you know, moving to different locations to bury the bodies and stuff like that.
It shows he has a sense of carelessness about it,
Yeah.
as if he don't care if he gets caught.
Yeah, and obviously he confessed to obviously doing it after they realised that it was him. He not only confessed to just one other murder, but he confessed basically everything that he did. He confessed to the rest of the bodies, the other 32 bodies that were obviously found connected to him. So he just thinks of these people as trophies.
Yeah,
And
like
so,
as if like rewards or something.
yeah.
around the similar time, Ted Bundy was obviously being a killer in 1970s, which is a which is basically the exact same time as John Wayne Gacy. But I feel like people know about John's like case and what he did, but like the media are more focused on Ted Bundy.
Yeah, and Ted Bundy became, you know, a romantic figure to a lot of people, as I said earlier, and his case inspired obviously lots of, you know, popular films and songs and novels and everything. So you could maybe like think that either Ted Bundy or John Wayne Gacy, they inspired each other to, you know, do what they did. And it may seem just weird, but maybe they didn't know about each other obviously until everything came out. But John Wayne Gacy was, you know, arrested longer, I think, after
John Wayne Gacy was arrested, was in prison for 14 years.
Yeah. And he was in prison like after Bundy was, because Bundy was in 1977, and this is when John's case kind of started to, you know, come to the public. So you may just think that they see each other as like figures or even competition for, you know, the people that they took and stuff like that. And okay guys, these are the makeup looks all finished. We hope you enjoyed.
If you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comments and we will answer you.
I know this case may be a sensitive topic to some, but I hope you enjoyed learning about it, and in case you have any other ones that you'd like us to do, let us know.